Let's see if we can get him in. And thank you for everybody that's tapping in. Everybody that's tapping. Yeah, we back, man. Hopefully they let us stay on. It said I had music that wasn't mine, so it cut me off for a second. So but let's go, let's go, let's go. Yeah, I got my. Here we go. Um, let's go. Shiloh, I see you. Hi, Shiloh. Congratulations. Yeah, man. How you feeling, brother? How's everything?
Oh man, everything is beautiful, man. I appreciate the invite, man. Love the work
Mhm,
that you're doing. Also, like it's a good. I like looking at what you're doing because
mhm.
I get a little eye to what's happening and exploring. It's real beautiful to see all the amazing things y'all are doing, man. So thanks for man and having me.
Man, listen. If there was no you, it wouldn't be me here. You know that, right? So I always gotta give you flowers. I don't ever want you to get it mistaken like I don't see you. I gotta make sure I check in with you first, man. Like you good, you need something, just holler at me, brother. Do my part as much as I can. Um yeah, man. But how so here I gotta make sure for everybody that's tapping in and everybody that does tap in, because these views go up and it's blowing me away how many people are just interested in mental health and need to talk about it. And, we all may have somebody within our family, our lifestyle, our time, just our existence that, we know is a little, like my mom always say, somebody's a little touched, and it could be me, it could be you, it could be anybody, right? But it's definitely something that we want to just talk about and try to normalize here, man. Emotional literacy, mindfulness, just checking on your body, your mind, body, and soul. And we do that through culturally grounded, cultivating grounded educational conversations, man. And you somebody I wanted to check in with and talk to about that, man. So appreciate you for having you here, brother. Um, let's get into it, man. First and foremost, man, how you feeling today, man? 1 out of 10, man. What's your vibe today?
Man,
10 being the best, one being the worst.
I'm probably at about I'm probably at around eight,
A
probably
eight.
8, 9, 8, 9. Yeah, man. No, nothing too crazy. It's just the grind and the work that I'm doing now is a little bit different. So
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't be. It's not a 10, but it's not bad. Everything is beautiful though.
Yeah, yeah. I want to get into that, man. So you're feeling about a 8 right now. Let me ask you. So let's start with the big shift first. Let's go all the way back real quick. What inspired you pretty much to step away from like being a principal in Brooklyn and then start your own school in California?
Yeah. So to be honest with you, man, I got tired of working for other people, and even I was consulting first, and that's cool, but it's just like hustling. You're not really building anything. You more just it's real like about the self, and that's cool. You know what I mean? Because you come first, in my opinion, you always come first, but it's really about the self. And being away from students was really tough on me. So I
Hmm.
open up my own learning center where we have a preschool, we have a STEM program, we do tutoring, because now I'm connected with the kids and then I can create my own programs without having to ask someone, hey, is this okay? Or without having to apply for a particular grant that someone has to say you have to do it this way. So that's kind of motivation for opening up this learning center. But it's tough. It is
Yeah.
tough.
I believe you, man. And I mean, working with kids is never easy. I mean, I saw how you worked with kids here, just your influence, your impact, and how you were like, hands on, very much dedicated to like, just making sure that things are in order, they got what they need. And now you're out there in California, no stranger to, because you're a California native, pretty much, right?
Yeah, yeah, for the most part, yeah.
Right. So what was it? Let me ask you this, because you touched on one thing which I think is big. First of all, salute to you having a STEM program. I don't think people really understand the big impact that STEM programs need to have and do have amongst people of colors, but particularly in the Black community. But you also are focusing on what was the culture shift like in terms of kids? You went back because Brooklyn is a different energy, and then when you get to California, I don't know if it's a different mindset, energy. What was that like?
Yeah, man, and since I'm not really working for anybody, I work for myself. I'll keep it 100. Like, I live in a town called Rancho Cucamonga. So, like,
Hmm.
what I was experiencing as a principal, whether it's in Harlem or Brooklyn, the students are not faced with the same challenges, right? So
Hmm.
I'm in a neighborhood where parents have middle class, upper middle class families. They have
Hmm.
access to a lot of programs. So my program is like kids will be in soccer, karate, and then they'll join my program for a STEM class. So it's a totally different population. What I do,
Wow.
because not everyone out here has those resources, I try to make our services affordable, because I still got to
Oh.
get paid, but I try to make our services affordable
Right.
for families that might want their kids to have access to different programs that they hear that their friends have. Like, hey, let me come
Mhm.
to the Learning Center and enroll in this program. So I think that's the difference. But if I want to compare kid to kid in terms of some of the things that I dealt with as a principal in Brooklyn and Harlem, it's much different than the kids that are coming into my learning center.
Right, right. And that's I mean, you notice that shift, man, and that takes self-awareness as well. So you're called the Bridge Learning Center.
Yeah, Bridge Learning Center. That's, yeah, we got
Okay.
uniform,
Yes.
dress
Yeah,
code.
yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I'm
You
not as
got it.
fly as you, man. So this dress code is makes it easy for me, man. You're pretty smooth dude. So
I
you know,
appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Hey, so you started Bridge Learning Center with STEM programs. It's a little bit of difference in terms of the socioeconomic level that's out there. What challenges do you think you meet? Because I'm going off topic here for a second, not topic, but off my questions. But what challenges do you think you personally, as a black man? I don't really know the population. I've never been. So what challenges do you personally meet yourself out there in that particular community?
yeah. So I'm from out here, and growing
Mhm.
up was there was racism out here. And
Mhm.
it is what it is. It's gonna happen everywhere. It looks different in different places. So I'm not
Right.
sure if that's necessarily a a big thing. I think for me, the big challenge is more on the business side, right? I'm an educator,
Okay.
right? And I don't really know how to market. I'm terrible at Instagram. So it's really trying to find the right support to make sure that I'm marketing my services. Also,
Hmm.
I have a tutoring organization, Montessori school. I didn't have any students, so I'm starting from ground zero. And there's other
Mm.
organizations that do the same thing I do. So trying to find outlets to let people know that Bridge Learning Center is out here. That's been tough. Going in, being in 100-degree weather, farmers markets, just to reach out to parents, doing a lot of footwork on the ground, going to different
Mm.
organizations, telling them about us. I think that's the most difficult thing. I think the racial element, or like that challenge is there, just being like a black man in California. But I've to be honest with you, I chalked that up a long time ago as just kind of part of the
Let's go.
territory.
Let's
Like
go.
it's hot, you gotta wear shade on. Okay, let me put
No,
my hat
that's
about me. So I don't really worry about that. My main thing is like, all right, let me get out here, get to people. If they got a problem with me, that's on them. But I'm still gonna give you my elevator pitch about my
I,
organization.
I love that, man. And I want, because we got a lot of young kids tapping in too that's at my school right now. They follow me and they're looking at it, and they're definitely going to be looking at it on my page. And the thing that I like that you said is, those things, those stigmas, those that racial element, all of that stuff is there. But I don't allow that to stop me. I don't allow that to, like, like you said, if it's hot, I throw in my shade and we just gonna keep going. We're gonna keep pushing through because it's expected. But guess what? I'm gonna keep doing what I gotta do. I'm gonna keep making it happen. I'm gonna keep pushing through, and that's respected. And that's the one thing I think people should definitely take from that is like, you still doing it, man. Regardless of all of that, you still pushing through and you still making it happen, man. The shift I want to talk about now is starting your own school. What has this taught you about, like, just your leadership, your vision, in terms of like just how in your own personal growth that you didn't realize before, but now you like, oh, I didn't know I was like this, or I realized I got to pull back a little bit. Because one thing you talked about, you mentioned marketing, and in this day and age, right? What I'm talking about is just some things you realize within yourself, right? But also you mentioned as a business in this age, if you don't market, if you don't get yourself out there, if you're not like hitting the ground and you're not like or on social media promoting and doing those things, then just you're killing yourself. You're killing your own business, right? So just in terms of that, like, what have you realized about yourself in terms of leadership, vision, just personal growth as just starting your own school?
Yeah, man, I've realized that, I did a lot of work in the education space, or yeah,
Mhm.
I hate to say that space stuff, but whatever. It just sounds corny to me. Love the space, whatever. But like, I did a lot of work in education when everybody was pretty much on the same page. Everybody um, took the same classes, read the same books, so you're talking with a similar language. However, coming to a new place, like I haven't been out to this part of California since I left when I was 17, right? I haven't
Wow.
like lived out here like that, right?
Hmm.
So being able to try to communicate to parents and try to figure out what their needs are has been pretty difficult. But I feel like I've gotten a sense of what it is. So I think just going out and learning the community
Hmm.
was like the biggest part. I mean, what I did was this year I kind of went out there. To be honest, I saw that there was an open school board seat, so I ran for school board. And
I
to be
seen
honest,
that. I wasn't gonna talk. I wasn't gonna talk about that. I was gonna let you know.
nah, because honestly, I knew that I had a feeling I wasn't going to win, but I knew
Hmm.
it was going to put me in a place where I was very uncomfortable, right?
Hmm.
Meeting people, talking to people that I had no idea who they were, what they're about, getting like denied, people saying leave me alone, and I think that was good for the business side because it's like I try to make the analogy when we was growing up, right? Go to the mall, you got your pen, you got your paper, try to get numbers. Me and my friend would have a competition. Let's see who could get the most numbers from girls, right? And
Yeah, that's
you know,
what's up.
but I'm not I'm dark skin. I ain't the best looking dude, but
Hmm.
I would get denied, and it built my
Hmm.
confidence. So if I got like 1 out of 5, 1 out of 10, that helped me, in that like little kid age. So now as I growing up, it's a little bit different. The stakes are a little bit higher. But now I know, okay, let me push myself. Let me go out there. Let me get rejected repeatedly, and then see who bites. So dealing with that rejection has been hard, but then it gives you data for you to work on your business. I know if I go out and our conversion rate is about 12.5%. So if I
Right.
go out to an event, if I get 12 signatures of 12 email addresses, I can get one person. So how do I create my marketing plan to ensure that I'm at enough events to make sure that I get enough contacts, build up our email list, build up our contact list, so I can get more folks into Bridge Learning Center. So yeah.
Man, you said some great things, man. The email list, the contact list, building that up because that's great when it comes to marketing, but also, making sure you reach out to create that awareness, let them know what's going on. But one thing you talked about is the resiliency. I mean, listen, I feel like, you talked about the resiliency, going to the mall, getting all, trying to holler at girls, see what kind of number you can get. That all of that stuff builds up your character, man, and it builds up just who you are as a person. And like you said, it's just pushing through, man, pushing yourself through that rejection. Do you feel empowered?
Oh yeah, man. I feel empowered. I felt empowered since like from a young age, man. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
my parents did an excellent job, like making me proud to be who I am. We didn't have a lot of money growing up. We didn't have a lot of opportunity. My parents are from St. Lucia in the Caribbean, so came
Hey.
pretty much nothing.
Mm-hmm.
But even though we didn't have that much, I've always felt empowered to do what I need to do, and I've always had a lot of pride in me, regardless of what the outside is saying. So most definitely, always, always.
I love that, man. Shout out to St. Lucia. I was supposed to go there last year. I mean, this year actually, but because of all of the stuff that was going on with the planes and stuff, I was like, you know what? Let me just hold out for a second, see what's happening. But I definitely got to get out there, man.
I
So I
was
appreciate.
actually supposed to go up there a couple of weeks ago to New York, but I was like, nah, I can't. I'm telling you, I was supposed to be out there the 15th. But yeah, go ahead, man. My bad.
I feel you, man. I feel you. Yeah. Look, talking to you, man. Talk to you for about an hour, man, because it's just the history. But you're such a knowledgeable dude, man. And you mentioned because my mom is from Jamaica, so that Caribbean aspect plays a big part of our life. It's like you either get an education or get some money, and if it ain't either or, it's dead and it's corny. Just like what how I mean, I know your parents are proud of you, but how much has their influence played in like right now, like in what you do, and just in raising your own family?
Yeah, so I think my father like instilled in me a lot of pride.
Hmm.
I think that was good. And then my mother instilled in me like a work ethic. So
Mm.
work ethic that you just gotta put your head down and get to work. So when things don't go right, I, I try not to, for the most part, I try not to blame others. I try to blame myself, even though there are variables that you can't control that impact you. But I try,
True.
like put it on myself because there's no space program for Negroes. That's what Q-Tip said. Try like I got to do what I got to do to make sure that I survive. So I think my parents instilled that with me and early, and then now just being, even my kids, they stay with my mom at times, and I just see how her impact on me is impacting them as well. And like she's all about family, so that's kind of how I am as well, all about family.
I love that, man. Shout out to your family. Shout out to y'all keeping that good structure in there, man. How's your wife?
Oh, she's doing good, man. She's
That's
actually
good.
one of the reasons, and I wanted to make this point on here because I know it's a wealth, mental wealth or physical, personal wealth podcast. But
Hmm.
I would say like whatever, if you're ever doing something, it's always good to partner up with people, right?
Hmm.
Whether it's a spouse, whether it's a friend, whether it's a family member, but it's always good to partner up with people and like combine resources when you're making moves for money. So, I didn't understand that when I was younger. It was really all about me. But as I got older and whatnot, I think that's just like one gem that I've learned over the years. Like if you're as a unit, and it could be whatever type of unit you want it to be, but if you're moving with other
Hmm.
people, it's easier to make it happen. Like similar to what you're doing, right? You got connections everywhere. You reached out. I got my podcast now. I'm going to reach out to my network and try to connect with other folks to push my brand. So
That's right, man. I think I watched one. I don't want to get it wrong, but he said you can go far to by yourself, but you can go much farther together. You know what I mean? And I think that was a gem that I remember watching before on EYL, which is shout out to that show, man. It gave me a lot of gems and tips. So yeah, thank you for sharing that, man. That's. I want people to understand that because growing up, we always felt like at times we could do things by ourselves, and I don't need nobody. And it was more kudos if I didn't have anybody. I was like, but realizing that's not how God wants you to work. The really is servitude and is giving and is working with other people and helping them get here, and at the same time you get here as well. So that's a really deep gem that you really teaching that could be elaborated on more, but we're gonna move further with that. But thank you. Moving further, brother. How has your mental health been so far through this journey, man? Of just starting the school, moving back, everything. Just how has that been for you?
yeah, man, it's had its up and downs, and
Hmm.
nothing crazy, man. At the end of the day, I think of like they're dropping bombs in Gaza right now, and it
Yeah.
tens of thousands of kids. So my life
Hmm.
can't be that bad. So I
Yeah.
always, like, anytime something gets hard, and I'm like kind of I major in political science. I read up on all of that stuff. But anytime something gets hard, I think about my life and how fortunate I am. One, to be breathing,
Hmm.
one, to have the resources that I have, because there's other people in the world where it's just very bad. So I want to put that caveat. So in
True.
regards to like the mental wealth part, I mean the mental health part, I think I'm doing good, man. I can't complain. There's some days there's up and downs with the business because it's a business and you starting off, especially a brick and mortar, without
Yeah.
clients. I started off investing a lot and not getting anything. So I just got to the point where and there's been a lot of stress over that to getting to the point where I'm breaking even. Now
Mm.
I haven't paid myself yet. Like I
Yeah.
pay my employees, I pay everything else, but now I'm breaking even, and now I'm getting to the point where I'm going to be able to start making more money. So, on a material level, that's been tough to deal with because there hasn't necessarily been a point in my life when I wasn't. I started work when I was like 13 years old. There hasn't
Right.
been a point in my life when I wasn't like getting guaranteed money coming to me. So that's been tough to deal with. But I have a great wife. I have a great family structure. My kids are they're like watching them grow. So going home after all that, it makes it a little bit better. So The mental health is pretty good, man. Just the ups and downs with the business, and getting
Mm,
older, how we get older and things happen personally to people around us.
that's real. That's real.
That's kind of like a balance because that happens to everyone.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that's good, man. I thank you for sharing that with me, man. And like, is that your wisdom, man, on that topic is something that we all can attest to and talk about as well. Because one thing that you mentioned was like, I've been working since I was 13. You saying it's so cool, but I've been used to getting it for a minute, and now it's slowing up for a minute, and now I gotta like figure out how to pay people. It's days where I'm looking like, dang, this ain't what I don't really know, right? Like, do you ever question yourself sometimes, like, man, is this for me, man? Because spirit, let's not to get too religious, but in a spiritual space, like, did you ever feel like, yo, this is a calling for me? And it's like, if this is the calling for me, you gonna look out for me or what's up? What we doing?
yeah. So like for me, it's not necessarily like a calling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a different type of challenge. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, when I went to explore and did the work we did there to increase student achievement and all of that stuff, that
Right.
was a different challenge. And after the fourth year, I was like, all right, I'm good. You know what I'm saying? I'm out because I need something else to challenge. When I
Mm-hmm.
consulting business, I started off with nothing. My first year, my company made 83. My second year, I made 150. My
Mm-hmm.
third year, I made like 270. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I can do this, you know what I mean? But then it was like, all right, at this point now I'm just a consultant, and it's kind of corny, right? So
Mm.
this one I'm like, okay, what does this challenge look like?
Yeah.
So it's just more of a challenge. It's more of like a challenge that I want to take on as opposed to a calling, Like my calling at the end of the day, to be honest with you, if I really could say, it'd be to, go in my backyard, chill, and jump in my pool all day.
Mm. Yeah.
That's my
Yeah.
calling.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But so this one is more like the calling is more of like, let me see if I can actually do this in Ireland. Let me create one. It's
Mm-hmm.
successful. Let me create another one. Let me create another one. So now it's like, and I guess connected to the calling piece is I want my kids to have something when I'm done.
Yeah.
So as
That's it.
opposed to being like, oh, like I get his house or I get this, I'm like, all right, let's my kids, if they want to run this business, they have the business for them, right? And
Mm.
they're pressure where they have to go in and work for somebody, where they have the entrepreneurial mindset. So I guess that's part of it as well.
That's good, man. They said what a good man leaves something for his generations to come, right? So that's a beautiful thing, man. To hear you talk about that legacy more than anything, and leaving behind. And the beautiful also thing is creating that entrepreneurial mindset, and that's one thing that I share with my son. Also, is like I got him a little debit card. I make sure he look at his finances. He figure out how much he's spending. I ain't get him. I don't have the pool yet. You know what I mean? I don't have there yet.
I'm in the suburbs, man. So
Oh, yeah, yeah, it's all good, man. But we're gonna get there. But like just and we're gonna get to the number one podcast for the mental wealth. I just want to let y'all know that already. But that's just one thing. Another, and shout out to Bridge Academy, the Bridge Learning Center, because next year you're gonna have what you need by the end of this year. But anyway, that's just a side note, right? So yeah, man, I dig that, man, and that's great, man. That's you doing that, brother. I appreciate you, and you a man that's married. You talk about that as well. How do you maintain peace, man, within you as being the leader of the school, as being a father, as being a husband, and being in your community? How do you find a moment to just find peace?
man, one of the this is gonna sound like a jerk, but my wife is hella busy. You know what I'm saying? So I get time because she's so busy. I'm so busy. It's tough sometimes because we don't really get to connect as much as we would like to. But because of our schedules, and she works from home. There's particular times where I can like get some peace and relax. My mom is also out here, right? And I'm just saying peace and relax because you got kids. If I'm not working, then I gotta be with the kids. So my
Right,
only
right.
time is like when I might not be with my kids, and that's only and there's different times when my wife is busy and I'm not busy, and my mom can really take a look. I mean, work with my two youngsters. Um, yeah, man, and then I just stay up late, bro. I don't
Hmm.
sleep much because I need a second to just relax, right? So
You say
it's
you
like
don't
letting
sleep
things go.
much?
I don't sleep as much because
Mm-hmm.
I like to work out, right? I ride
Mm-hmm.
my bike. I like to ride my bike every Friday morning. I'm up at 4:30, and I do that because I got to get back by 8. But
Mm-hmm.
to ensure that I can get on my bike ride, I'm up at 4:30. I like to work out, so I make sure that I get up early. I don't sleep so I could work out early, or do it like in the middle of the day when I got like an hour and 15. So
Yeah.
just trying to stay active in car and finding those times and be committed to those times to try to
Mm-hmm.
stay.
Black man, I got a couple more questions for you, man.
And just
I don't
heads
want
up,
to.
I might have to keep shooting them, but I might have to go because I got a client coming in here. But keep shooting them. When they come in, I'll let you know for sure.
Okay, okay. I got a couple more questions, and we out your way, man. When's so I like just picking your brain, man. Have you ever been to therapy?
Nah, man, I'm not. I know I'm not a therapy type of guy. I actually went one time when I was 17.
Mm-hmm.
It was a brother that he knew my family, and I was going through some tough times. Just kind of family struggle. Every family has their issues, right? So
Mm-hmm.
family related issues kind of got to me, and I got like I did what I wanted to do, and I still wasn't happy. So I felt like let me go talk to somebody. And he pretty much told me everything that I knew, like
Mm-hmm.
everything that I was thinking and I processed in my head. So since then, I've never gotten to the point where when things got tough, where I needed to talk to someone else, I was able to rationalize it in my head and come
Mm-hmm.
out clean on the other side. So if I get to the point where I can rationalize it in my head, and I have family members who have like serious mental illnesses. So if I get to the point where I know where maybe that's genetic and it's creeping in, or I can't rationalize it, I'll definitely go to somebody. But I haven't been to since that one session.
Mm-hmm. I mean, sometimes therapy can be definitely intimidating. Also, it's the stigma like within our own community of like we don't need to talk to nobody. We be strong. We can get through it. We can push through it. Or it could just be I'm uncomfortable, dog. I really don't want to talk to you like that. It could be a multitude of things. But I hear you. I definitely hear you, man. And it was I was there at one point myself, and then I went a few times. I went, and I make sure people know that you can change your therapist too. Sometimes, especially kids, they think like, oh, I got to be stuck with this boring dude or this boring girl. You could also change them as well, and find somebody that fits more to your liking, man. But I appreciate you sharing that because that's a real thing, and I can go on for that, man. I can go on for days for that because I just spoke to some kids that was like, my dad told me we don't cry. A real man don't talk about this, talk about that. So it was just a lot, just really in my class recently. So I know we gotta, in terms of us and our masculinity and what we like to represent and how we keep our head up and what we go through. It's a very touchy subject. But I encourage everyone to at least try it out, man. Definitely.
And crying is cool, but
Yes, right. That's right.
toddlers, too much crying is too much though.
That's
Like, cut it out. Like, stop.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I'm trying to get people to think, man. I don't want people to think like we all about it being soft. No, it's you got to get it off your chest. Get it off your chest. Go talk to somebody. But then you got to get to a point where it's like, you know what? I gotta man up and push through a little bit, and I gotta get my mind right. So that's what I want people to understand. But find you a healthy outlet. Find a healthy outlet. Don't just mask it and just getting drunk, getting high. Now you beating people up. So we could talk that too, man. But I got a series coming up next week. I'm gonna talk about that. So yeah. Um, Real quick, man. Before you go, I got two more quick questions, man. I know you a DJ at times. I don't think people understand that or know that about you. Mentally right now, man. Who or what artist gets you through, man?
Man, it's gonna sound real corny, man, but I'm gonna keep it a buck because I'm 43 and I don't care anymore, man. So, man, I like reggae and like I love Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
AI, there's an AI Star Wars track.
Mm-hmm.
And my son be slapping. So I listen
Mm-hmm.
to that like all the time with me and my son. You know what I mean? So that's pretty
Yeah.
cool. And then I'm like an old head, so I always go back. So, I'm just, if I'm not listening to that, I'm listening to Doom I'm listening to Still Pulse. I'm listening to, of course, Bob. I'm listening MF Doom. I'm listening to
Yeah,
JP.
yeah, yeah.
Old '90s Wu Tang. So I don't really listen to too much new stuff, man. I try to keep it.
There's nothing wrong with that, man. There's nothing wrong with that. There's some cool young artists out there, man. But I definitely hear you. Tapping in, keeping it in the retro vibes. Because yo, what's crazy? You mentioned like I listen to the Star Wars, the AI Star Wars. Yo, I listen to this music. It's called Third Eye music. It's literally called Third Eye music. I turn it on and I zone out when I need to study. And it's not really like a beat or even it's like a sound that's just like, hey, yo, bro, just ride into it. Like it's no lyrics, nothing. And I'm like, I think people might think I'm home, like blasting, like, I don't know, something crazy loud and it's in my house and it's man, I be in the most peaceful, tranquil space ever when it comes to my music, man. So that's
But I also listen to your tracks. I didn't know when I was working with you that you had bars. So you know what I'm saying. You can flow, bro.
I,
You can
I,
flow.
I appreciate that, bro. I repeat that. I try to keep that on the low because I know, people. I just respect. Thank you, man. Thank you, man. I
I
and
didn't
that's
know.
listen, and that's something I got to be able to take on too. Is take compliments as well. So thank you, brother. I respect that and I love that. Thank you. Um, Before I leave, man, if there's one message you want young black men or even just fellow educators to take away about your mental health or just about just yeah, we're in mental health, about mental health, man, and just life in general, man. What would you want that to be?
Man, the old West Indian man is in me is saying, hey man, just work hard, man.
Hmm.
Hard. Stay focused, set a goal, and work hard. There's gonna be things that get in your way. You might not achieve it at times, but if you work hard, you won't have too many regrets in my perspective. So I would just say work hard and also take care of yourself, right? If you always a balance. So even if you eat poorly, right, or if you have poor like dietary habits or physical habits, drinking, drugs, everything, just take care of yourself and do everything in moderation, right? Make
Hmm.
sure you exercise, walk. If you under 35, like you shouldn't be walking. You need to do something a little bit extra. You know what I'm saying? You need to get out there and do something. Lift, train, cycle, but always just try to stay healthy, man, and not to lift your shirt up on Instagram, but just to be able to say, hey, man, my body's feeling good because you'll feel better about yourself, barring
That's
any.
right, man. That's a gem. My mom dropped the flame down there, man. That's a gem. I love that. Brother, where can we find you at, man? If I had someone in Rancho Cucamonga that needs to find you or just moving to California, where can we find you? How can we get in touch with you and set this up for the school, man?
Hey, yeah, man, just reach out to me, Educator Anwar, at IG, or you can hit it Bridge Learning IE on Instagram. Check us out. Shoot me a DM or anything. If anybody's in California want to come check out the place, all good. Can't wait to come up there and see everything that's going on and explore. I know y'all got a couple changes, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
still gonna be up there next year?
Yeah, I'll be here. I'll be here. Yep. You know
Sure,
what I
man.
mean?
Hopefully, I can come check you out up there and see the school and everything.
I'll be here, brother. So just come through, man. This your house, so we it's all good.
All right, for sure, man. Well, appreciate you, Hasa. To everybody that Explore said hello, couldn't make it last week, but really appreciate everybody up there and everything they're doing.
It's all good. Enjoy your, hey, man. Enjoy your evening. Good luck with everything, man. Tell your wife I said hi. Much love to the kids, and we'll connect, brother.
Yes, sir, man. Be easy.
Peace.